Hi, I'm Richard Cheshire, and this is my wife, Freddie. We've lived and cruised the South Pacific aboard the Moira, our 44-foot cutter, since 1975. Of all the island countries we've visited, New Caledonia is by far our favorite. We love cruising here, and because we want other cruisers to enjoy New Caledonia as much as we do, we created the Rocket Cruising Guide to New Caledonia. Why is New Caledonia the best cruising ground in the Pacific? Beautiful, vibrant coral reefs protected by marine reserves. Enjoying white sand beaches, often without anyone else around. Walking in wilderness and cooling off in crystal clear pools under waterfalls. Safely spending the night in 220 good anchorages. Easy navigation in protected waters with excellent navigation aids. Cultural diversity and festivals, and very important, New Caledonia's location. Because cruisers have to sail to New Caledonia to enjoy it. It's surprisingly easy if you do it correctly. Fiji, New Zealand, and Australia are just a 7-day sail. Vanuatu is only an overnight hop. We've sailed to Tonga in 8 days. This meant we had a really good idea of what the winds would be, so we could pick a nice weather window for our trips. Consequently, we enjoyed 40 years of delightful annual migrations in the South Pacific. You really have to love New Caledonia for being right where it is. Port Moselle Marina, where you clear in when you arrive, is a modern, full-service marina smack dab in downtown Noumea. The village market's right next to the marina. You need fuel, marine supplies, something from the pharmacy, Wi-Fi, internet, French bread or pastries, whatever you want, whatever you need, you can probably walk over from the marina and get it. Once you've cleared in, rested, done the laundry, resupplied with goodies, it's time to escape into the world's largest coral reef lagoon and discover the real reason New Caledonia is the greatest cruising grounds in the South Pacific. You'll discover mind-boggling beautiful beaches, coral reefs, clear water, great surfing, kite surfing, windsurfing, less than an hour's sail from Nouméa. Let me show you a quick 3-day virtual cruise so you get an idea of why I really love cruising in New Caledonia. We sail out the entrance to Noumea Harbor and go wing on wing or drifter or spinnaker 8 nautical miles west, and then come up under the lee of Ilot and tie up to a park mooring. Step out of your dinghy onto the park wharf, walk down the white sand beach, follow the marked trails to the historic 1860 lighthouse that gives Ilot its name. Enjoy watching the sea eagles. Go for a snorkel and take photos of the fish and corals, and maybe even a sea turtle or two. Of all the island countries in the South Pacific, New Caledonia is the only country that really, seriously is protecting the coral reefs and lagoon islands. Ilot is one of 10 marine nature reserves where you can visit but not damage or even disturb the marine or terrestrial life. After lunch, sail 4.4 nautical miles downwind to Ilot Maitre and drop the anchor in 5 meters of water over white sand, just off a shallow pass through the fringing reef for easy access by dinghy to the lovely white sand beach. If you feel like going for a snorkel, head up to the eastern point of the fringing reef and have an enjoyable day. Finally, to spend the night, we'll sail 1.8 nautical miles around Maitre and anchor in 5 meters of white sand just 150 meters behind Ilot Maitre. It is protected from all winds except from the north and west and is one of the best night anchorages in this part of the lagoon. The beach is perfect for an evening picnic or an early morning stroll, the prototype for a South Pacific desert island just inside the barrier reef, surrounded by lush coral reefs. The fringing reef surrounding Maitre has a thriving community of corals and fish. The corals are extremely fragile, and the best coral areas are so shallow You need to be very careful not to break the living coral with your flippers or other parts of your anatomy. It not only damages the coral, but coral cuts can be extremely dangerous if not treated quickly. See more details on that in the Rocket Guides section on health. So, day 1. 2 or 3 hours, easy sailing in protected lagoon waters from downtown Noumea. 3 tropical lagoon islands, clear turquoise water, white sand beaches, vibrant reefs, fresh air. How great is that? You'll probably want to stay at Moselle for a day of fun on the beach and snorkeling over the reefs, and then, after a good night's sleep, set off early the next day to sail 5 nautical miles to Nouméa Pass. An anchor in the sand, never in the coral, just behind the barrier reef. This is one of the most popular surf and dive spots in New Caledonia. Divers love doing drift dives through the pass and exploring the wreck of the Humboldt, sunk in 22 meters of water in 1968 as an artificial reef. After a snorkel expedition on the reefs, it's 4 nautical miles to one of the 20 park moorings behind Ilot Maitre Nature Reserve. Dinghy ashore, and you can beach walk right around the island in 20 minutes, depending on how long you spend, taking photos, basking in the sun, relaxing in the shallow water. There's some lovely reefs, perfect for snorkeling, just a short dinghy ride from the park mooring. From Ilot Maitre, it's 5 nautical miles to anchor in 5 to 6 meters of white sand in the lee of Ilot Maitre and the massive, beautiful sand shoals that surround it. It's a popular overnight anchorage here because, like Ilot Maitre, you can find a spot to anchor protected from winds from any direction. And yeah, it's really pretty. The protected sand flats make Ilot Maitre one of the best wind and kite surfing areas in New Caledonia. From the 1st of November until the 30th of March, nobody can go within 300 meters of the island because it's a sanctuary for a rare migratory seabird that nests there. The next morning, it's just 9 nautical miles to pick up a park mooring in the lee of the absolutely incredible Ilot Maitre Sustainable Development Management Area. The park moorings prevent damage to the coral and seagrass beds. Maitre is one of 8 Sustainable Development Management areas in New Caledonia, with limited tourism development, but full protection of the marine life and the seabirds. The fish and sea turtles are so used to boats and people that you can swim right up to them. This is a photographer's dream, both underwater and on the island. Mary D operates a day excursion from Noumea, including a gourmet, seriously good, barbecue lunch and Polynesian dancing, plus a demonstration of pareo tying, Coconut Creek climbing, and a visit to the top of the magnificent lighthouse. Plus, there's some pretty serious beaching for everyone. Maitre is a don't-miss-it adventure in New Caledonia. In the afternoon, it's a 10 nautical mile broad reach to Ilot Maitre Sustainable Development Management Area and another park mooring. Ilot Maitre has some of the finest snorkeling in the New Caledonia lagoon, with shoals of fish and lots of vibrant living corals right next to the park moorings. New Caledonia's marine parks and reserves are one of the very few places in the Pacific where you can see coral reefs as they were 60 years ago. You can walk all the way around the island on the white sand beach with its extensive shallow sand flats. L'Escapade Resort on Ilot Maitre has a fine restaurant, bar, and swimming pool, often with entertainment in the evening. The next morning you can be back in Noumea after a broad reach of just 3 miles. There just isn't any other island country in the whole South Pacific where you can enjoy anything like this kind of easy cruising and spending up-close time with amazing sea creatures thriving in the beauty of their coral wonderland. Not and be back in time for fresh croissants and coffee with your friends at the Bout du Monde restaurant at Port Moselle Marina. When you're not cruising the lagoon, there are lots of things to do in and around Noumea. Let's have a quick look at the Rocket Travel Guide to New Caledonia to see some of the restaurants, for example, in Noumea, where they're located and what kinds of foods that they have. There's a lot of really great restaurants in Noumea. French are very, very particular about their food. Some of the restaurants even brew their own beer. There's a casino, beaches, the Aquarium de Noumea, St. Joseph Cathedral, the Cultural Center, which is really quite an amazing place, various museums, parks to go walking, and if you want to go further afield to enjoy parks, you can rent a car, drive 20 minutes into the mountains, and enjoy the Nouméa River, the northern branch. Absolutely beautiful, walking through the mountainous trails, enjoying the sparkling crystal clear water. This is the southern branch. Really amazing. Lots of places you can go for a swim, and it winds up at the dam. That's just a small sample of one cruising itinerary within an hour or two cruising from Noumea. When you set off to cruise the rest of New Caledonia, you'll find a treasure trove of adventures. Do an unforgettable 10-day cruise down through the Great Southern Lagoon to the Isle of Pines. Then loop back via the wilderness anchorages on the southeast tip of Grande Terre. Or take a 15-day cruise to the Loyalty Islands and come back to Noumea via the eastern and southern coasts of Grande Terre. To plan the perfect cruise for you and your crew, order the Rocket Cruising Guide to New Caledonia. The website address is in a link in the comments below. Thanks very much for watching this video. Come to New Caledonia as soon as you can.